We are reopening our meeting that was called to order at 6:30. We're now back in open session. And Juanita, can you call the roll?
Okay. Rachel Morella.
Here.
Randy Brockway.
Here.
Juliette Boyd.
Here.
Arthur Perry.
Here.
Rich Regan.
Present.
Mary Rose Mangia.
Here.
And Michael O'Brien is out for the evening. And the motion is passed.
Right. Do we have any public
None.
comment?
None.
Okay. Great. Next, Bob, now you want to update us on FOIA requests since our last meeting?
Sure. We received, excuse me, 2 FOIA requests since the last meeting, and the first one is from Mr. Scott Reeder from the Illinois Policy Institute, who submitted provisions within the district's collective bargaining agreement, providing for compensation and the pay record of employees who received this benefit. And we also received a request from Mr. Bob Skolnick from the Landmark, requesting copies of all legal bills that the District 96 has paid or incurred related to the dealings with the former superintendent from July 1 through January 13, 2015, a sum total of the amount that the district has paid for lawyers or firms in work relating to the investigation or negotiation with and other matters dealing with Dr. Lamberson, the total amount that the district has paid to the law firms, Francis Radley, from April 2nd through January 13th, and then copies of all legal bills for any and all telephone conversations, consultations, and telephone meetings between any member of the District 96 Board of Education and our law firm from April 2nd, 2014 up to and including January 12th. So a copy of the responsive documents are all in your packet.
Okay. Next, we'll go to announcements. Art asked to make an announcement.
Yes, thanks. I just wanted to let everyone know that it specifically affects Hollywood, but the Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad will be repairing a signal bungalow at the Hollywood train crossing next Tuesday, January 27th. That crossing will be closed from 7 a.m. Tuesday until Wednesday morning at 5 a.m. So this will definitely impact students in that neighborhood south of the tracks, and I just wanted to make sure that everyone was aware of that. I'd like to also briefly thank the Village of Brookfield for reaching out, because this was originally supposed to happen this week, and the signs just appeared all of a sudden, and the village got in touch with BNSF and said, please, reschedule. We need some lead time on this.
There's still a number of students who actually take the train.
There are quite a few, actually.
But continue to do that.
I counted about a dozen this morning, actually. They take the train to from Hollywood to Riverside to come to Hauser. But other students who are going to Hollywood School or going to Hauser by walking or going to RB are going to be impacted.
Will that crossing, is that going to be closed for a school day? Is that what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, one school day, or?
One school day, according to this.
So I guess we should somehow get that word out to the parents of the Hollywood students.
Yeah, there was actually you sent out.
I actually did that already today before I found out that it was changed to next week, so I'm a week ahead of the game. So we'll put another one out there.
With the actual dates, yeah.
A little proactive.
Yes, I saw that. Thank you.
And there are some Hauser students that also ride from Hollywood to Hauser and back. Stacy, right? So we'll want to notify them as well.
I had one more announcement.
Yes,
I'll just quickly say that on this coming Thursday, January 22nd at 7 p.m. in the Brookfield Village Hall will be a Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, and it's going to be involving the RB High School plans for the field and the stadium and tennis courts and parking lot. So I just want to make people aware of that if you want to hear what they're talking about or speak about that. I'll be there, actually. So I want to.
What time was that again, Art?
7 p.m. this Thursday.
Okay. Bob, now do you have some announcements?
I do. I'll be highlighting each of the schools' announcements for this month. At Ames, the Week of Code. 1st through 5th grade students at Ames School participated in the Week of the Code in art class before winter break. The Week of the Code is an introduction to computer science for students. It is designed to get kids started and excited about writing code. And all of our Ames students were very engaged in their coding this past month. Dolphin Dollars, our positive behavior intervention support. Dolphin Dollar system is now being implemented for our kindergarten students during second trimester. Our kindergarten students were so excited to hear about this new program. Students receive Dolphin Dollars for making good choices, being kind to others, and exhibiting positive behaviors at school. Student Expectations Assembly. Now that we're entering into the second half of the school year, Ames School held their second Student Expectation Assemblies for all students in grades K through 5. Our expectation assemblies are held to address the following areas with our students: general rules of the school, 2, respecting people's personal space, 3, okay, I'm going to try this, kufti, keeping hands, feet, and other objects to yourself, KHFOOTY, and 4, how to deal with various situations with your peers, and 5, stranger danger. Early holiday gift for Miss Duvey's 4th grade classroom. An early holiday gift. Every student in Miss Duvey's 4th grade classroom received a personally signed photo of the actress Willow Shields, who plays the character Primrose Everdeen in the Hunger Games series. Willow's father, Rob Shields, grew up in Riverside. Blythe Park. Wellness Wednesday. Blythe Park hosted the Chicago Steel hockey players for Wellness Wednesday. The children were excited to practice some new hockey moves and meet the players and coaches. Boot Camp. The Blythe Park Boot Camp is up and running. 35 students report to camp every Friday morning before school, and during this time they work on honing in cardiovascular strength, agility, balance, and coordinations, and the students definitely love getting their hearts pumping. Parent University. On January 22nd, Blythe Park will be hosting its first Parent University night. The topic of the evening's discussion will be the inclusive classroom, and they're looking forward to an evening of great conversation. Central. All for Book competition. Central students participated in the All for Book Change Collection competition, and the money collected during the one-week competition serves 2 purposes. First, it provides book fair gift certificates for Central students who would otherwise be unable to shop at the book fair, and any leftover money is used to buy books that are donated to the Lurie Children's Hospital. This year, Central students and their families raised over $2,000 for this cause. Congratulations to Miss McCarthy, Miss Brackett, and Miss Neal's classrooms, and their students raised the most money. Winter data collection. Central teachers are currently completing their winter data collection. This information collected will aid in the process of reviewing student growth and assist teachers with instructional decision-making during the data team collaboration meetings later this month. Winter Wonderland. The Central Winter Wonderland was held the evening of January 15th. Families had the opportunity to select books at the book fair, socialize, and enjoy some refreshments provided by the Central PTO. Hollywood. Food Drive. The Hollywood Student Council will be working on the Brookfield Police Department, with the Brookfield Police Department on a new food drive. The food drive will be used to restock all of the food that the St. Barbara Food Pantry distributed over the holiday season. Family Reading Night will be held this Friday, January 23rd at 6:30 p.m. Put on your pajamas, grab your blanket, and join the Hollywood families for a night of stories and songs. Soar, float, or fly to new heights. To prepare, students are welcome to submit drawings of them soaring to new heights. Be creative as you fly, float, soar, and flap. There will be a paper in the office, and drawings will be displayed during the event. At Hauser, the spring musical will be Mary Poppins, and student auditions are taking place in January. The Ice Cream Social. The PTO will be hosting an ice cream social in January for all honor roll students at Hauser. Both the Hauser Spelling Bee and the Geography Bee will be taking place this January. We'll be looking forward to sharing the names of the winners next month. Boys basketball and girls cheerleading will also be beginning in January, and we're looking forward to another successful season of Hauser athletics. Co-curriculars will begin in January. Hauser will now be offering computer programming and robotics to promote science, technology, engineering, and math curriculum. And that is all I have.
All right, thank you. At this time, I'm going to ask somebody to move for a change of order in our agenda so that we can do, we can vote right now on the action items after closed session. These would be the personnel report and also the semi-annual review of closed session minutes from July to 2014. So may I have a motion to move items Q1 and 2 to right now in the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All right, the first one here. May I have a motion that the Board of Education approve the personnel report for January 20th, 2015 as presented, and this was the letter of retirement from the certified staff, from a certified staff member, the letter of resignation from a certified staff member, an appointment for non-certified staff, and the appointment of a status change only for a non-certified staff member.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
All right, Juanita, the roll?
Okay. Rich Regan.
Aye.
Arthur Perry.
Aye.
Rachel Morella.
Aye.
Randy Brockway.
Aye.
Juliet Boyd.
Aye.
Mary Rose Mangia.
Aye.
Okay. Motion passed.
All right, and the next item would be the review of the 6-month review of closed session minutes, July through December 2014. And I would like a motion that upon the review of the closed session minutes, the BOE, the Board of Education, approve the continued non-release of closed session minutes from July through December 2014.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Juliet Boyd.
Aye.
Randy Brockway.
Aye.
Rachel Morella.
Aye.
Arthur Perry.
Aye.
Rich Regan.
Aye.
Mary Rose Mangia.
Aye.
Motion passed.
All right, thank you. Don, you're up. Don Trefano is going to give us an overview of his 5-year technology plan.
Good evening. Tonight, I'm going to present information pertaining to direction of technology, kind of a roadmap of some initiatives that are currently underway and some that are planned or recommended for future years. And along with that, budgetary line items relating to each of the items. So going to start with, this is organized really by area of our services, of the services that we provide. And I'm starting with kind of our external networks, or our web-based resources and hosted services, which is where we're moving a lot of our services to, outside the district, hosted servers and services in the cloud. To begin with our email, we are using Microsoft's 365 product, Outlook 365, for all our hosted email now. Because we are a K-12 institution, we actually get that for free. I mean, we just need to administer it. So there's no cost associated with that. There was just a cost to implement it, to get it from our old mail services and migrate data and users into the new system, and then get it configured for our domain. In addition, we did, for archiving purposes and for e-discovery and for FOIA requests and for retrieval of information, we implemented the Mimecast e-discovery product. That is a pay service, and there's an annual cost associated with that. So the archive data from our old mail services, all of our historical data is being put into that system. So the new Microsoft service actually has all our current from the time that we started the service, and then the Mimecast service allows us to check all the historical information. So that's all of our retention, and if there was ever a legal hold on information within our email system, that's where we would conduct that type of service. The email migration itself, in total, cost about $15,000 to migrate from the old service to the new service. That is a one-time fee, and then there's really no migration process after that from year to year. Another service that we implemented was an IT ticketing system. That is another annual subscription-based service. And that is helping us to gather metrics on the types of tickets and then also just manage workflow to assign tickets to users and or assign tickets to our technical staff and update notes. And it provides us as a department a lot of information in terms of what types of issues are being submitted and then how can we address those or maybe look at larger process issues. We did do a website redesign from an actual cost standpoint to the district because we did that in-house. There was a lot of time involved in it, but little cost to the district in terms of dollars that went out to support that. The $100 was just for some various templates to look at how to redesign the site. And then we did change our host from Mac Highway to GoDaddy, which was a slight increase from year to year. But it gives us a lot of a greater level of stability with the website being up and then also a much greater level of customer service.
Can I ask, is there going to be a budget in dollars or in time of internal staff for ongoing website maintenance? And the reason I ask is that I remember hearing that some of the difficulty with this website redesign was, the old website was really old, it was unsupported templates and software and things like that. Is there a plan to keep that up to date going forward so that it's easier to maintain?
Yeah, we actually, when the position of the instructional technology coordinator was created and that position was made year-round, that became part of the function of that role, was to maintain that. So we built that personnel component into that position to support that.
Okay. Thanks.
Don, does any of these dollar amounts include staffing, or are there costs other than staffing?
Costs other than staffing, unless it is a direct service to implement a direct service to implement it. For instance, the migration costs associated with email and the e-discovery, that was largely done by outside consultants, and that's that cost.
So the cost for any kind of staffing would be outside staff only, not internal staff? Okay.
Correct. We also did this year, we implemented a couple of different mobile device management solutions. The first one was it's a product that Cisco offers for free, Cisco Meraki, which allows us to manage our iOS or our iPad, most of our iPad devices, and some of our iPod devices. Because we have in those areas of our iOS devices, iPads and iPods, a lot of those are older, and so they are not compatible with a lot of new mobile device management solutions. And what this allows us to do, number one, it gives us a visibility on those resources. There's geolocation, but also with newer devices, we're able to push out applications and actually manage them centrally, as opposed to have to physically touch a device to add an application or to update it. So especially moving forward, all of our new iOS devices, iPads that we get, will have a much greater level of ability to manage them centrally and also via the cloud. So we can push out updates from anywhere, and as soon as they have a internet connection, they have that. We have the ability to update them. The other mobile device management solution that we did was a product called AirWatch from VMware, and that's what we're using on all of our one-to-one devices. Again, gives us that level of management and visibility of those devices from the cloud and able to push out and manage updates on those resources remotely. This first year, the annual cost on that is about $16,000 per year. But for future years, we are going to look at other solutions. The product has provided us a good level of management of those devices, but we are going to look at other options out there. I can't say that we're 100% pleased with the product, and that is why we only went with a one-year commitment on it. We could have gotten a little bit better cost on it, but it would have been involved a multi-year. And since it was the first year of a product, didn't want to commit to it just yet. Content filtering. With the new WAN and internet connectivity, we are going to be implementing a new firewall, and as part of the firewall, with a new firewall, we have to look to a new content filter, and that's the associated cost with that and with the projected annual. Also, we're implementing an asset management solution, again, cloud-based. It integrates with our IT ticketing system, and with a minimal cost on an annual basis to have that. Other external network initiatives that are going on, we're in the process of cleaning up our PowerSchool data. There's a lot of gaps within our data, especially on the staff side, and really leveraging it as more personnel information, which allows us to update other systems more easily. And really would like to see that PowerSchool becomes one of the main sources for information for our buildings to look for staff, and obviously the student data as well. On the student data side of that, we've begun implementing the student health module, which will move all of that data that we currently have, or the nurses have, in paper format and maybe in a binder, now centralize that data. Number one, from a security and privacy level, because they either have it in paper or stored on their computers, and we're in the process of moving that information up to PowerSchool, where it can be accessed by whoever we assign, whoever needs to access the information. Also, we need to implement an antivirus solution for our laptops and desktops. We currently, as a district, do not have one in place that poses security risks. Although Macintosh is known as being less vulnerable, and I think those are more of your traditional types of viruses, it's still susceptible to malware and other types of worms that might be embedded within an internet browser. And so for the district security, we need to have that in place.
When do you project completion of that done?
That before the end of the school year. We'll have one selected and begin deploying it. We do also really want to look at, before again making a commitment, one of the factors that will play a big role in some of the costs or solutions for now or for the future is what is that device for our one-to-one program. That's going to have implications not only in the cost of the device, but some of those solutions wouldn't require an MDM. They wouldn't require a paid MDM. Some wouldn't require an antivirus. So depending on that, that's also going to play into the antivirus and the level of deployment or the selection. As far as our internet and cloud connectivity, our WAN that we're putting in, it's about 50% plus. Comcast has had some delays with the cold. We are projecting by the end of the month, fingers crossed, and without any weather delays, that we should be up and running. Projected cost for the remainder of this year, and then for subsequent years. This year, we're only paying a partial year on it, and thus the lower cost for this fiscal year.
So those are estimated numbers, if you could go back to that slide, for 16, 17, and 18.
Correct. Well, those are estimated based on our current E-rate discount.
Right.
If our E-rate discount went up, then that cost would go down. And so E-rate is based on free and reduced lunch.
Okay.
And then the opposite of that is true as well. As far as some of the services that we've conducted, we did the network assessments in the summer, and then we're in the process of completing. Those remediations, the bulk of them will be completed with the upgrades to the internet. There's a lot of work that can be done at the same time as that work is completed. The new security appliance. That is our firewall. With the new WAN and internet configuration, we'll go from having 4 appliances to a single appliance. There's an installation and configuration charges associated with that, and then the annual licensing on that product. And that's for maintenance and then also software upgrades, so forth.
What's the ongoing cost for the network assessments?
That is just built in if we need to do some in the future. It's just a built-in as if it's needed, just a budgetary. Depending on if there's a need to expand in certain areas or if we're noticing any problem areas, but it's just just built in as.
Would this be like something that was at Timpani? Did Timpani do our network assessment?
Correct.
So it would be the estimated cost of a consultant or
Exactly. I mean, we did the initial assessment was really to get kind of a lay of the land and really understand what our network looked like. But other network assessments might involve vulnerabilities, doing penetration checks. So where they actually try to hack into your system and again, what is the, identify any vulnerabilities. As far as our local area networks and our wireless, this year, really just looking at, identified some areas for remediation of our wireless networks. We rely heavily on them, especially with the upcoming park assessment. There's just some areas that we're going to want to address to increase the performance of our wireless networks. Upgrades, we may look to upgrade this year. We may look to upgrade certain areas based on density and again associated with park. Is that we might want to, areas where we're going to be doing a high volume of testing, our library media centers, or where we might have high density of users at any one given time. Upgrades for the future, for next year, looking at more of our coverage, again, density and coverage. We have gaps in prior assessments that have been done. We have as a district about 100 access points, and the recommendation was that an additional 25 access points would be needed to give us full coverage. That being said, that budgetary number would account for an additional access point and then any installation or configuration that might accompany that, any cabling that would need to be done in order to bring connectivity to an area that might not already have network access.
Don, the wireless network upgrades, you have numbers for this year 5,000, they're going up to, for fiscal year 16, 25,000, and then 17, 125,000. What's that based on?
That would be based on, there is a life cycle to the wireless network in terms of the capacity. Devices and throughput start to catch up to where the speed of our current wireless network meets our needs now. But then as we progress in time, our devices and their capabilities are going to be they will outmatch our ability to support them at a wireless level. And we do rely heavily on that. Now, what we'll want to look at, and that's a budgetary number, we'll actually want to look at the metrics of what our utilization is, what our usage is. And it could be that instead of upgrading all the devices, we're able to take some newer devices and move those into areas that have maybe slower access points and then only upgrade a portion. And the higher level of usage is here at the middle school. We have higher level of density, greater number of users. The bulk of the our one-to-one device users are here. So it could be that one methodology of attacking it is that, well, we upgrade the devices here and then take some of the devices from here and use those to replace devices at the other schools. But that right there is just a budgetary number, and as we gain more information about the landscape of our wireless network, we'll be able to refine those. So with that wireless network expansion, again, budgeting for cabling and installation. Once that cable is pulled to a particular area, if we do upgrade access points, it's a matter of disconnecting one device and putting in another. So it's there's no associated cost other than the access points, and then getting those configured. Annual maintenance and support. I know we do not have a support renewal this year for our current wireless infrastructure, and I'm getting a quote on future years. Apparently, when this was purchased, it was a three-year maintenance agreement was purchased, so we didn't have a renewal for the last couple of years. But again, we'll look at the costs of to do a 1 year or a multi-year, looking that we might be upgrading at some point. I don't know that we want to go too far out if it limits our options to vendor selection. As far as our premise-based services and our network services management, we're looking at various options on a directory services and server infrastructure architecture redesign. So I have a few different vendors and their engineers putting together options, and those options would be kind of from the extreme of having everything hosted outside the district or as much as possible, to kind of a hybrid, some internal servers, some out in the cloud, based on our comfort level of having data and information out there, or going back to really a server-based operation, kind of replicating what we have. With each of them comes their own risks, because you're heavily dependent on your connectivity. So if you lose connectivity out to the internet and that's where all your information is, well, you don't have access to that information. So we have to weigh the pros and cons and the risks of that. Our local web services. Currently, those would be our teacher websites, and we're in the process of migrating those to our hosted service. So those will actually be, and a good portion of them are already on GoDaddy right now. This, again, reduces our reliability on local servers. That equipment, we have had servers go down this year. This is older equipment, and when they went down, students and teachers couldn't access their websites. So with the migration to GoDaddy, we're also migrating the teacher websites to there as well. It's transparent to those of you outside the district. We have emailed all staff, and we're going to have all teacher pages onto GoDaddy by February 1. That's the deadline we put out to have them do that. It's a 5-minute process. It's just a change of where they copy their files to. There's some other network services that we're moving off of our servers onto other more reliable equipment, networking equipment within the district. That's also part of the remediations. It's as long as we're hitting our switches and our core infrastructure, we can add these services onto those and then take them off of our servers. Voicemail to email integration, that has already been completed. So now when a voice message is left for a staff member, it actually goes to their email inbox, so they don't have to retrieve it or be on site in order to retrieve a message or know that they have a message. So you get a notification. Similarly, our copiers scanning to email. Right now, there is a dedicated server for each copier, and that's where the scanned data goes to. We're moving that over to where, from the copier, when you scan, it just goes to your email inbox. So we can eliminate those servers. Power protection. We are very dependent on our connectivity. So want to make sure that each of our main distribution facilities that house our switches, primarily our switches and our routers, we want to make sure that those are powered for as long as possible, because we rely on them for wireless connectivity, connectivity to the internet, and for phones. And so really looking to get in that, at least in that 4 to 8 hour range of battery life on those devices. And at the same time, it also provides a level of protection against surges and sags, which we do get a lot of in this area, and outages. As far as network devices, computers, it'd be computers, mobile technologies, and printers. Our one-to-one device research and pilots, that is going on as right now. That's going to happen this year, and we have $50,000 budgeted for that. The student one-to-one device replacement, that is really going to be dependent on the outcomes of that decision. Inventory analysis, looking at what we have in-house and the age of it and what is due for cycle. Again, that information will really guide us towards a budgetary number for the laptop replacement cycle and the iPod replacement cycle, which that one-to-one device decision is also going to have an impact on those decisions as well. Managed print, going to have a survey done, really a plotting of where our printers are currently, and then look for opportunities for more centralized printing for staff and students. Get higher volume, lower cost printers available to.
Do we typically have staff have their own locally connected printers and all that? Oh.
Correct.
So at present, we have a printer in every classroom?
We haven't been doing necessarily replacement when they go down until we make a decision on what our printing strategy is going to be moving forward. So then we redirect them to maybe a neighbor printer or a nearest printer.
I guess there was some discussion last year about reducing the printers to have a print room or, in the administrative offices. What's your, I guess, where are you trending right now on this?
Well, I think by doing the survey, what is really beneficial is really looking at doing a survey, plotting your printers, and kind of looking where your saturation points are, or identifying where those printers are and where might be good locations for printers.
Yeah.
Space is always an issue, and then there are we have to be cognizant of life safety rules in terms of we can't put a printer in a hallway because of life safety issues. So it needs to be in an office area, and again, space is always.
So the survey, is this a survey of teachers, what their preference is?
No, this is actual like plotting on a building map. Just doing an actual, identifying what types of printers we have and where they're located. And then based on that, that survey of where our printers are and what types they are, looking at, that provides a lot of information for planning. You can identify, okay, this, you might be able to have one printer that can serve, multiple people as opposed to multiple printers serving multiple people. On the instructional technology side, we did the professional development needs assessment, and that will be ongoing from year to year as needs change. And then also providing training not only throughout the school year, but we'd also like to be in hosting sessions over the summer, maybe on weekends, and to allow staff to earn more CPDUs if needed, but then also whenever we can get larger blocks of time for training, that's great. We're thinking of maybe doing a boot camp this summer where it might be multi-day, 2-3 day session where staff can get fully kind of engrossed in the technology. The technology, the 21st century skills assessment tool that we're looking at for students, I touched on that at the last meeting. That would help us evaluate the program and identify some gaps, potential gaps within the program, and then we could tailor professional development and any other resources that might be needed to help bolster our students' 21st century skills.
Would the ongoing cost be the cost of a tool if one's identified?
Yeah, because we'd want to assess every year, so we could, progress monitoring, and then identify any trends, future gaps, so forth. Also, this year, we'll be developing some technology standards and guidelines based on the ISTE NETS standards that I also referenced at the last meeting. Excuse me. Internet safety, we have been working in conjunction with the Hollywood PTO and the Village in order to bring a presentation this year. We actually have one scheduled for February, and I'll have some additional details on that at the end of the presentation. We have date and time. We're just ready to gather some additional information from the presenter. Also, researching and implementing an e-book platform. We have a great level of number of devices for students, and there's a lot of good resources out there that instead of having physical copies, we can begin maybe purchasing digital copies. Very similar to what they probably have at the local library here. A very common platform is Overdrive. With a platform like Overdrive, we can go from purchasing, or have maybe instead of going from 100% physical copies to a balance of physical and digital copies, and then eventually, maybe eventually over time, we're purchasing more digital. I know that there is a lot of research going on there about students and or children in reading, and a lot of kids really still, high percentage still like the tactile book. And so I think we need to take that into account, and that, for some, there's still nothing like cracking open a book and reading it as opposed to being fully digital. But it just gives another outlet, another way for students to have access to those books. There's integrated tools where many of the services offer where it can read the book aloud, offers for highlighting and note-taking and so forth within materials.
Are there some statewide shared resources for e-books or things like that? I know there's an eRead Illinois that's accessible from the library. I'm wondering if there's something like that for public education or something, where a cooperative or something for that.
I haven't seen it thus far. I know that when last year I did a lot of research on this, we implemented it in our last district. We identified 6 or 7 of the key players in the ebook arena, and what it really came down to was content, and that we did end up selecting Overdrive, but just purely because the content that they had in Overdrive, not only the amount of content, but the content that was that's kids would be interested in, so it's something, an area that we can definitely look into, and then also use it as to augment what we might select, or again if something is out there. Yeah, there's a few key players that just offer the widest variety of content, and are geared towards, some are more geared towards K-12 too.
Would the e-books always be read through the laptop devices and the tablets?
Yes, some of them can be read through any electronic device, whether through a browser on a PC or a laptop, or it could be through an Android device, an iOS device, an iPod, iPad, Windows device. I know Overdrive, there's not a format, I know with Overdrive that it doesn't support. Or a Nook or a Kindle, they do them all. And the licensing on those, it will vary. It can be set up so that you buy a license and you always own that resource, or it's set up on a subscription, or it's set up on a meter. You have it for 25 reads, which, depending on the type of resource, you're going to have some resources that might be popular for a short period of time, and you can gear purchases towards that. Also, Also going to do some research on some digital textbook platforms. Those are becoming a little bit more common. Again, just to see what is Discovery Education launched a digital textbook platform, and just to really do some research, gather information to see if it is a viable option in the future. And then also streaming media services. This would be instructional content, video, audio, that could be streamed and incorporated into daily lesson plans to accentuate the lesson, help teachers incorporate flipped learning, and providing resources out there relevant to their existing content.
Regarding textbooks, are there any of our major textbook resources for math, science, can't think of anything else, but especially for those that do not have an online component that we have access to?
On the textbook side, I'm not sure. Most do have access, but they don't have, what they haven't been able to do is have it to where you're only purchasing that level of access.
Mm-hmm.
So you get it as a added resource. You buy a
Right.
textbook, you get it. But most of those, they tend to be in PDF format.
I know that there was a lot of discussion about that when we looked at the science program a while back and stuff. So I know we already have some of this, but probably not in a consistent way.
Right.
So.
And one thing was by having a platform, most of the platforms you can then bring in your resources you might have and make them available for checkout, so long as you get the licensing cleared with, you get the copyright issues cleared out with the publisher. We're also doing some research on learning management systems. Learning management system is really just a platform to help facilitate learning and distribute information. Oftentimes, I mean, districts with one-to-one programs, this is a big component that helps provide students access to classroom resources. And these types of systems generally integrate with your student information system and scheduling and so forth. And then there's typically a parent portal as well. And then there's some budgetary items for just projected costs on what those types of systems generally will run on an annual basis. Data and assessment system. A data and assessment system basically it takes becomes a central warehouse for our any student-related performance data, and then you can incorporate demographic data and run your analytics on that and do reporting and really look for trends and growth and so forth. From from STEM and career and technical education, from a curricular standpoint, actual curriculum for students. Next year, really going to begin looking into well, what types of resources, additional resources, can we look to potentially integrate additional STEM content into our existing curriculum. And STEM is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And also along with that, technical and career education is a component. Currently, we have a couple of STEM initiatives going on right now. I think Bob mentioned, I think the robotics one earlier, robotics club at Hauser. And then there's also a programming club that's in development as well currently. Policy and procedure development, a student and staff acceptable use policy, the disaster recovery procedure, and then also student data privacy policies and procedure. Student data privacy, especially as we begin moving more and more information potentially out into the cloud, it's a high awareness level of it, and we have to take that in consideration. Next steps is to really present information on our one-to-one program device pilot analysis, and then also our device inventory analysis, which again, one will impact the other.
I was just going to say on the one-to-one, on the next step, do you have a target date for that step? I think I've asked the question before, but The pilot analysis, the one-to-one program.
We're looking to have those out, it'll be probably in March, as
Okay.
far as to wrap those up and have some feedback on that.
Oh, it's not that far away.
No. We do have a few upcoming meetings. The tech steering committee is next week, Thursday. The internet safety for parents presentation will be February 9th, Monday, February 9th at the Hauser Auditorium. We've requested some information about the actual program title and what the full content of what's going to be out there. So we'll publicize that along with the PTO and the village. And then we have a 21st Century Think Tank meeting coming up on February 23rd.
How much are you able to benchmark with other districts on some of these initiatives and plans?
Well, with the IT Synergy workshop that we're doing, that was one of the benefits that we saw of that, is there is some benchmarking against other districts. So that will hopefully give us a starting point on that.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you
Thank
very,
you.
very
Thank
much.
you, John.
Our next agenda item would be the approval of the minutes of previous meetings. So I would be looking for a motion that the Board of Education accept the minutes of previous meetings as stated, and these minutes become formal District 96 records. May I have a motion? And before that, let me list the meetings. Minutes of the closed session, December 2nd. Minutes of the regular business meeting, December 16th. Minutes of the closed session, December 16th, 2014. Also the minutes of the second closed session of December 16th. The minutes of the Education Committee, January 6th. And the minutes of the special meeting on January 6th, 2015. And the minutes of the closed session for that special meeting, also January 6th. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Juanita?
Rachel Morella,
I abstain.
Randy, I'm sorry.
Abstain. I was not present December
Okay,
16th
I'm
meeting.
sorry. Randy Brockway,
Aye.
Juliette Boyd,
Aye.
Arthur Perry,
Aye.
Rich Regan,
Aye.
Mary Rose Mangia.
Aye.
Motion is passed.
Bob, district priorities and goals, report please.
Okay, in your packets and also on the screen for our audience are our monthly updates for our district priorities and goals. For Goal Area 1, which is Academic and Professional Excellence, Objective 1, we held our professional development on the PARCC assessments that students will be taking starting in March. So all staff reviewed some sample formats in special ed, and they'll be also doing that this Monday for all the remaining certified staff. We also started the process of reviewing the QUEST program and the qualification requirements. We started pilots of the SRA Reading Mastery at the elementary level and the CSC Learning at the middle school, and this is for special ed students who require an alternate or more intensive reading program for their growth in reading. Objective 2, we started the revision process for summer school programming, continue to work on the Hauser schedule, began a thorough review of the elementary school schedule to look for inconsistencies and develop methods to increase instructional time in math and English language arts. The special education department is also looking to provide students with opportunity to address social emotional skills and in an inclusive manner, and for students to be community ready. And Mrs. Shaw met with representatives from Special Olympics and Best Buddies to plan for the 15-16 school year programs. We are coordinating the implementation of 10 Marks Math. It's an online curricular resource at Hauser. coordinating implementation of 21st century skills assessment that Mr. Tufano just talked about for students in order to get some metrics to create SMART goals and relative to the district's one-to-one computing program and 21st century learning skills. And we also mentioned this earlier this evening as well as in Mr. Tufano's presentation, supporting the district's STEM initiative through hardware and curricular programs in robotics and computer programming at Hauser. Also in Goal Area 1, Objective 3 for hire and develop and retain highly qualified professionals. The PAT team, which is the Performance Evaluation Action Team, whom you heard from at the January Education Committee meeting a few weeks ago, finalized the documents for professional practice component in the new teacher evaluation program. They will start their pilot in the upcoming weeks for professional practice for our new teacher evaluation system. They continue to review the Charlotte Danielson framework that is aligned with the Performance Evaluation and Review Act. And they develop a process for summer school hiring that would encourage more qualified staff to teach in the areas of math and English language arts. The special education area met in like groups, which is social workers, psychologists, speech therapists, to support to support areas of RTI, behavior strategies, and Asperger's syndromes. So working together to dialogue and collaborate more with their like teams. And the technology department did some professional development in 21st century teaching and learning on the SAMR model, which is substitution, augmentation, modification, and redefinition, and also looking at more instructional classroom tools and how to utilize the Epson Breitling interactive projectors and document cameras, as well as looking at the one-to-one Chromebook pilot in 5th grade. Our second area, financial and operational excellence, we have started the budget process for the new format, including priorities, supplies, capital equipment, and facilities improvement. And Mr. Sellers will be presenting that at the February 3rd Finance Committee meeting with more detail. And we'll be meeting with the district leadership team also that week to review their process of how to start the budget development by building and by department. We will be looking at, as Mr. Tufano mentioned, selecting a new content filtering solution for the new fiber internet connection, as well as meeting with our architect on January 30th to begin the comprehensive 5-year facilities review. Objective 3, we deployed the classroom Chromebooks for one-to-one pilot in 5th grade. We established the January 30 deadline for migration of the teacher website, which you also heard about earlier today. The integration of the student's information system to perform automated nightly updates, and then also researching and coordinating viable options for directory services, which you also heard about earlier this evening from Mr. Tufano. Our last area, Goal Area 3 for rigorous communication, the Special Education Department has started communicating to the community about the preschool screening process and the Early Learners Program. An information night will be held next week on January 28th for all new families interested in the early learning program. Technology department, as you heard about earlier, has coordinated stakeholders to schedule a multi-day internet safety presentation targeting parent and student audiences, and the first day will be, for the parents, will be held on February 9th with student information sessions following the next 2 days. And then Objective 3, we had our bilingual Parent Advisory Committee met last week, and they heard from a speaker who spoke about the benefits of being bilingual. And Mrs. Shaw and Mrs. Gorman, where I shared in announcements for Blythe Park, will be presenting a parent education night on inclusion for students for special needs at Blythe Park, which will be held this Thursday. And that's all I have.
All right. Thank you.
Got a question or two here.
Sure, go ahead.
Under goal area number 1, you talked about summer school, and that's a concern of mine that we improve our summer school program from past year. And I see you're on your way there. When are we going to get an update on the progress of the curriculum and then the hiring practice for summer school?
Would we be able to do that at the March Education Committee meeting?
Yeah, I
would
guess
that
I'm
be
asking.
okay? Yes, would that be okay for us to
March
present?
education? That would be fine.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess be looking for some, recommendations and recommendations and strategies. Under goal area number 3, you talked about that early childhood education, and there was an event next week. Is that right? There's a. So is this for next fall? Okay.
Right, for interested families looking to be part of our community students who pay tuition, and it's an information night.
Yes. And how are we reaching out to the community?
It's been posted on all the district website as well as the building principals have sent out information, and we are getting phone calls, so people are hearing
Yes.
about it, and we're informing them that the evening will take place next Wednesday, and then after that, information will be directly posted on the website after that information night with registration process. We'll begin to receive applications on February 2nd.
I'm just thinking that for families that do not have a student presently within the district, do we have a way to reach out to them through the newspaper or libraries?
We can do that, and we can post things. The thing, as I've worked with other districts, when you have a community preschool that's run by the district, you have to be very careful. We don't want to infringe upon the private preschools in the area, because that's always a concern when a district has a preschool, that may be, you have to be careful of that competition factor. But we can put some flyers up as well. My understanding was last year there was just a few flyers put up. The registration process started in May, and we're doing it much earlier. In fact, we've even moved the date. The information night originally was to be in March, which is too late. Other preschools are registering now, so we have moved it. And we only have 30 slots, so.
So did we fill the 30 slots this year?
We did not, and we did let families know that there were openings. That is the problem when you start that process that late in May. I know in other districts I've been in, when a district decides to do it often, they tend to be behind the timeline of when preschools start their registration. Typically districts make that decision to have a preschool in spring, and they're a little bit behind the 8 ball, but then it quickly starts to fill up that next year.
Well, that was definitely our case, I think.
Yeah, and that's very typical. It's, not
Discussed that for
unusual,
quite a while.
so. But that happens,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of planning and preparation for that and how you're going to roll it out. So that's quite common.
The concern that this is somehow in competition with private preschools, I don't buy that, this.
Okay, that's just been my past experience in other
Yeah, I'm just
districts.
saying this is a public early childhood education program.
But parents are paying tuition as they are to other preschools, so that's where you have to be a little careful at times. But we can put some more flyers up and about, and again, it will be on our website to let families know.
Well, and
We
you-
may not see it as competition, but they might. I mean,
Yeah.
it's simply a question of.
It's just something to be sensitive
It'd be
of.
nice if we could work with the local preschools and say, here is this is an opportunity for all of our students, special ed, regular ed, early childhood, but.
Well, you make a point, there's only 30 slots, so you over-recruit.
Right, then you have.
So, and because it's the first year, you're trying to figure out that balance.
Yes, it's the first year we've started the registration at the time that most preschools do it. So I think after this year, we could revisit and see what we want to, what we want to do, if we need to publicize a little bit more or not.
Are there any other?
I have a question. In goal area 2, objective 2, you're meeting with the architect on January 30. Who's part of your team to meet with the architect?
Initially, it's going to be Mr. Sellers, Mr. Radke, who is the Director of Operations, and myself. And then once we establish our areas of need and priority, then they'll be meeting with each building principal and department head And each building, they sometimes also have school teams of what maybe educators and teachers feel might be areas of need. So they have an inventory and an interview system, so we're going to wait and learn from them too what they like to use.
Okay, thank you.
Have any, I don't think you've had the first meeting with them yet, is that correct?
Correct.
So we don't know how long it's going to take to do the facilities review. You'll get kind of an assessment.
And we're hoping that at the February 3rd Finance Committee meeting, we can give you an update after our initial meeting.
Okay.
We've done a number of walkthroughs. So progress has been made to develop a needs assessment.
Oh, the architects have already done a walkthrough?
Oh.
Pavna, one of the, what they're going to be doing, looking at the buildings purely on what needs to be assessed on a going forwards basis? Because I think Rich and I had done a tour where we walked through Central and Hauser, and I was quite surprised that they are not as ADA compliant as they should be. And based on my experience with construction, when you touch anything in the building, they're supposed to make that. I just didn't get the understanding of, in our prior construction that was done on these buildings, why they weren't up to code. And if these architects were going to be doing any sort of analysis of, what should have been done in that prior construction, or if they're just looking purely going forward.
I think that we are looking, the initial reason that we're doing this is for life safety.
Yeah.
And I think that'll definitely be a priority with the life safety review. So that'll come up, as well as we talked about 21st century learning, we talk about updating our classrooms, we talk about, infrastructure things. So it's going to be a whole review. I don't think that we've had this done for a while.
Yeah, no, 'cause I know we spent millions and millions on construction, and it just seems surprising that.
It's ADA,
All right.
ADA compliant.
Yeah,
It may not be
compliant.
as accessible as we want it to be as we walk through. And I think there's a distinction between the two that we may want to address in this process.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll just raise my hand as probably the only person present who was involved in the
Yeah.
original projects here at Hauser and Central and Ames. And I don't want to get into the real technical details of what our requirements are. All I know is that we aren't subject to the same building codes as, your house or my house. We go to the West 40, the regional office of schools, to get our building permits and our plans reviewed and so on and so forth. So it's a different process. And I also will say, and I'm speaking for the past board, but you can certainly go back and look at minutes, that it was, a lot of discussion was had about how far to go. Mm-hmm. Should we put an elevator here in Hauser?
Yeah.
And we did certain things and didn't do other certain things. And we tried to take different proposals on a case-by-case basis, but we just, knowing that we have a building that's 130 years old and other older buildings, that it just, with the goals that we had and the budget we had, didn't really make sense to us at the time to go all the way on certain things. So I'm not defending it, I'm just saying that was a discussion, so.
Thanks, that's helpful.
Yeah, so
Helpful to
going
know.
forward, if the goal is to become more accessible and make those changes, and we've had other projects too. We remodeled, or moved and remodeled the nurse's office this past year to try and address some of those issues as well. So unfortunately, I think it is going to be an ongoing process with budgets and with planning and with these old buildings that we want to keep, the sense of history.
It's got to be priority, though.
I totally agree. I'm just telling you what happened in the
Yeah.
past.
Thank you.
We lost our chairperson.
Oh, and Mary Rose asked me to step in. She had to step out for a second.
Okay.
So we'll go to school board committees. I know Mr. O'Brien is not here, but we are going to be meeting on Monday to plan the agenda for the February 3rd Finance Committee meeting with Mr. Sellers and Ms. Manja and myself, and we will be talking about the architect list. Art, do you want to talk about the Education Committee?
I should have been prepared for this, I apologize, but we just approved the minutes, so it was a pretty good meeting. We talked about the Common Core State Standards Implementation Roadmap, in the phases in implementing that. We had an instructional technology overview. So some of the things that we talked again about tonight with Mr. Chifano, we had started talking about then. We talked about the performance evaluation, or we had a presentation from the leaders of the Performance Evaluation Action Team. So Ms. Gill and Mr. Gierman. Then we had a discussion about, or an update on the middle school scheduling committee, which you mentioned in your list of items for the goals, but that's ongoing. We had a professional development update, and a couple of other discussion items, after school homework support, some discussion of substitutes and field trips. I'll leave it at that.
The after-school homework support, what was that about?
That was mainly a discussion about different teams in Hauser who are doing certain work after school, like homework club and stuff like that. So it was just a kind of a discussion of telling us what different teams are doing, and I think there was, the board expressed support for that, and can we, expand that and get as many students having a homework support throughout the school, for the whole school.
Yeah. Would it be possible for the next education meeting to put on the agenda or in the analysis some look at the quality of the after-school programs that we have, the aftercare programs? Because I think it's in line with our policies to try and, improve summer school and after school. And I know that there's been some concern raised. My daughter goes to the aftercare program at Central, and it's really glorified babysitting. I mean, they cannot help it with their math homework. And I think it's a missed opportunity that we're having. If there's anything we could do to improve the quality there, maybe it is something like that great ideas that they have at Hauser with the after-school homework clubs or something. I don't know. But if we can improve the quality of those programs, that would be very, very helpful. So it's not just, like I say, glorified babysitting, but actually it's an opportunity I think we're missing if we put that in there.
I'm actually meeting with the Parks and Recreation Department and a community member on Thursday to see what, if anything, we can partner with. I know that Hauser is meeting with, started the Parks and Recreation after-school program just on Mondays for the early release, and the parents that are involved with it right now have been pleased with it because it's providing a little bit more curriculum support and a little bit more physical activity. So we'll see what we can do, and if we can partner with Parks and Rec to see if we can expand that program next year at the
Mm-hmm. That would be, if there is an option to give a more quality program, that would be helpful.
If I can provide an update sooner, I will, but if not, our target date will be in March.
Thank you.
For the committee meeting?
Yeah.
And we're also going to get an update on summer school progress.
Yeah.
I'm saying that out loud so that I don't forget. Okay, thank you.
What are other schools, not that I want a complete rundown, but I'm getting the impression, just talking to different community members, that other districts are trying to provide more robust aftercare programs? Have you heard anything like that?
Well, I think different districts provide different things just depending on the interests of the community and, what teachers are doing and what's, what included in after school. But, similar to some co-curricular activities that we have at Hauser, we've got some after-school things that are curriculum-based that we provide from our teaching staff. So we can, that's something that we can look at expanding too if that's a priority of the board.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Sure.
Are we looking at, maybe it's both, but are we looking at what District 96 is offering in after-school programming as well as what the community is offering in after-school programming? Because sometimes, to Mary Rose's question, sometimes the after-school program kind of depends on what's offered through community organizations, and that can differ a lot. But you know, sometimes it's what's offered through the school district, and that differs a lot as well. So.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, that we should be aware of what other groups are offering aftercare, because I have heard that one of the local schools is going to try to do more. One of the local churches is going to try to do more with preschool and aftercare.
But I
So
think,
is it both like internal?
I think, yeah,
external?
but I think my concern is the quality of the aftercare programs we as District 96 are offering. I think we can do a much better job with providing a more,
Does that include clubs and stuff that? we
no,
have
just
for
the
our district?
aftercare.
Okay.
If you've got clubs and you can open a homework club at Central, I'd be thrilled. Right? I mean, I think that may be one paradigm or model that's working at Hauser, which is amazing and awesome, and I applaud the teachers for doing that. But it's not uniform through the district. It's only at Hauser, and I think it's not necessary. So if we can do it, but particularly for the aftercare program.
I think to make it, to echo what you're saying, is how can we make it accessible to more students, and how to improve the quality of the activity to the students?
Thank you.
To have it maybe support our goal of being in the top 50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're looking at two things. We're looking at the after-school care,
Yeah.
and then we're looking at increasing and/or enhancing any type of after-school curriculars.
Yeah, because I think one of the
Programs.
concern is after-school care, I pay for after-school care. There may be parents in the district that can't afford after-school care, but whose children may need support. And if you had children who maybe English was a second language and there was a homework club they could go to and get, 20 minutes of reading extra, or help with their homework that maybe they can't get at home. I think, but those parents may not be able to afford that. Maybe that would be the club. Maybe a community organization could step in. I don't know. But I think that there is we do what we can at school,
Sure.
but if there's something we could set up after school to help with homework, would be a great resource, if we could look at it.
Excellent. Yeah, and then, so homework, and then it sounds like enrichment as well?
Yeah,
Or academic support.
yeah.
Right.
Academic support. We've got, we've been hearing about the numbers in, Tier 2 and Tier 3 students, and we've got a series of tools that we can use to reduce those numbers. And one of them would be a more aggressive summer school program, and another would be a more aggressive after-school program. So I think that's really what we're looking at here. We're not talking about just an activity after school, but make it meaningful and make it helpful to our educational goals.
Abner, would you like to report up on the policy committee, the working committee?
Sure. Mary Rose and I met over winter break twice, and we reviewed a press issue 86, which is the annual review, and you'll see in your packet that there are several policies up for annual review, and we are recommending that all of them be moved for a first reading. Then there is also a 5-year review, also of press issue 86, and we are recommending that all of them go for first reading, and a listing of them is in your packet. And the Technology Steering Committee, as Mr. Tufano mentioned, will be meeting next Thursday at 6:30.
Bill, would you like to represent the Riverside Education Council with any specific comments?
We're all good today.
Glad to hear it. Thank you very much, Bill. Any questions on any of the financial information items? Financial statements, the district credit card, and the budget progress statement. Any questions on any of that? I guess I only have one. When will the transfer be made out of the operating funds, or has that already been done? Out of the operating funds to debt service?
That has been done.
Any other? All right. All right, well, is there any questions? Let's go with the approval of the general invoices for Schedule A753. May I have a motion that the Board of Education approve the list of general invoices, Schedule A753, as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Juliette Boyd,
Aye.
Randy Brockway,
Aye.
Rachel Morella,
Aye.
Arthur Perry,
Aye.
Rich Regan,
Aye.
Mary Rose Mandia.
Aye.
Motion is passed.
All right, our next action item is the Discipline Code Handbook. And maybe before calling for a motion, I'd like maybe Bob to update, this is something that the Board of Education did review in August, at our August meeting. It has been posted, and we do need to take final action to accept this, this handbook for this year. And I was going to ask Bob just to tell us a little bit of the history of the Discipline Code Committee, who's on it, and how the changes were developed.
Last year, we followed suit of what has been done in the past, and we had two principals, which was Mr. Bierman and Mr. Gass, as well as assistant principal Mrs. Weston, work with a board member, Mrs. Gaynor, as well as, I'm not sure, were there parents on it as well? Two parents? Okay, to review it. They made the changes, and we had our attorney review it, and you will see the changes that are on there right now. Some of them are highlighted and some of them are striked out. We decided to keep it as is and then adopt this year, going forward for 15-16 school year, the Illinois Principals Association Model Student Discipline Code Handbook. We found out about that later towards the summer, and it was too late to implement, so we have already purchased that subscription. We're going to be reviewing it in late February, March, once the committee reconvenes, and so we will have something for you sooner so we can get this out in July. We just had missed that deadline for last year, and this was an oversight. It should have been on the September agenda for approval, so we're asking for your approval tonight. But we noticed it was not done. It was not posted in final format.
What was the name of the organization that we're going to look to for?
Illinois Principals Association, which is IPA.
So what you're looking at tonight is not the modified version, because what I read on and reviewed in the documents was, things with pieces struck out and et cetera, So we're not going to be going with that. We're going to be going with some new model through
We're going to go with this for the remainder of this year.
Okay.
And then starting this spring, we're going to be reviewing the Illinois Principals Association Model School Handbook and bringing those suggestions to you.
So this is for a short duration, and then likely we'll be switching?
Correct.
And why? Why? What is so much better about the Illinois Principals one than this
You know,
one?
they looked at comprehensively just research of what is legal, what is law, what is best practice, and they created one for all school districts. And so we wouldn't have inconsistencies like this, like every district adopts their own. So they've created a model for all of Illinois to use.
Okay.
Now, next year when we have an opportunity to look at this model, we have the opportunity to accept or reject it. Is that, they get voted on every year?
Correct.
Okay, may I have a motion that the Board of, if there's no more discussion before I move on to it, I would like a motion that the Board of Education approve the revised 2014-2015 Discipline Code Handbook as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Rich Regan,
Aye.
Rachel Morella,
Aye.
Randy Brockway,
Aye.
Juliette Boyd,
Aye.
Mary Rose Mangia,
Aye.
Arthur Perry.
Aye.
Motion is passed.
The next motion is the approval of a resolution for the historical building relief. This is a resolution that comes up every year. We pass this again, and this is basically I guess if there's historic, the tax code provides for tax relief on property taxes for historical properties, and what we are doing is exempting from the districts the taxes we levy, not recognizing tax relief, so that they are fully taxed like any other property based on their assessed value. So,
I didn't quite follow that. Could you explain that, please? Are we talking about historic properties, residences in Riverside?
in our district,
And we're waiving? Could you
Nothing-
explain?
yes, we are not, they can be eligible for a tax credit based on their historical status, but our district has, at least the last few years, last year we voted on this, we do not recognize and give them a tax credit for historical tax credit for our district. In other words, our taxing body, the district, isn't recognizing or providing any historical tax breaks.
All right.
Right? Okay. To that end, I would like a motion that the Board of Education accept accept the resolution to elect that certain assessment relief provided by the Revenue Act of 1939 for historic buildings not apply to taxes that are levied by the Board of Education of School District Number 96 in Cook County, Illinois. So again, I'm asking for a motion that we accept the resolution as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Randy Brockway,
Aye.
Rachel Morella,
Aye.
Juliette Boyd,
Aye.
Arthur Perry,
Aye.
Rich Regan,
Aye.
Mary Rose Mangia.
Aye.
Motion passed.
All right, now we're going to have a series of motions for the policies that were recommended in the working committee that Bhavna talked about earlier. Our first item is second reading of board policies for final adoption. Illinois Association of School Boards, Press Issue 84, and the two policies on Press 84 are the Revenue and Investment Policy and also Policy 7:180, Preventing Bullying, Intimidation, and Harassment. Again, this is the second reading for both of these policies, so this will be a vote for final adoption. And I would like a motion that the Board of Education approve the two mentioned board policies from Illinois Association of School Boards, Press Issue 84 for final adoption.
So moved.
Second.
Juliette Boyd,
Aye.
Randy Brockway,
Aye.
Rachel Morella,
Aye.
Arthur Perry,
Aye.
Rich Regan,
Aye.
Mary Rose Mangia.
Aye.
Motion passed.
The next motion is for another set of second readings and final adoption. These are from Press Issue 85, and I would like a motion that the Board of Education approve Policy 4:100, Insurance Management, Policy 4:160, Environmental Quality of Buildings and Grounds, Policy 4:170, Safety, Policy 4:175, Convicted Child Sex Offender, Criminal Background Check and or Screen Notifications, Policy 5:280, duties and qualifications. Policy 6:150, home and hospital instruction. And again, I'd like a motion that those policies be approved by the Board of Education for second reading and final adoption.
So moved.
Second.
Rich Regan,
Aye.
Arthur Perry.
Aye.
Rachel Morella.
Aye.
Mary Rose Mandia,
Aye.
Randy Brockway.
Aye.
Juliet Boyd.
Aye.
Motion passed.
All right, the next one is a first reading for Illinois Association of School Board Press Issue 86. Again, these are all first readings. Policy 2:20, powers and duties of the Board of Education, indemnification. Policy 2:200, types of board meetings. Policy 2:220, school board procedures. Policy 2:230, public participation at school board meetings and petitions to the board. Policy 4:60, purchases and contracts. Policy 5:30, hiring process and criteria. Policy 5:260, student teachers. Policy 5:330, educational support personnel, sick days, vacation, holidays, and leave. Policy 7:180, prevention and response to the bullying, intimidation, and harassment. Policy 7:20, harassment of students prohibited. Policy 7:240, conduct code of participants in extracurricular activities. And I would like a motion that the Board of Education approve the policies I've just read for a first reading from Illinois Association of School Board Press Issue 86. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. I have a question before we vote on it. Policy 5-30, the hiring process and criteria, that's the one that we're supposed to have modified based upon the working committee that proposed a policy last year. Where are we with that?
It's on a list of things we'll look at. The only thing we have, sort of the way we're operating the working committee is that we're taking legal changes immediately rather than, not taking them. So what is in here, as respects that, we are working with the existing policy, making the legal changes from the last legislative session, and then we will be working on that particular process when we finally catch up with Press 87. And that will be the first one we take up. And we will be doing Press 87 next week. And hopefully we'll be able to get through it with 1 or 2 sessions and vote on it. And then, so again, we're not customizing anything. We're taking, unless it's already been customized, but we're adopting legal changes so that we don't fall far behind.
Will topics like that, though, that we're doing different language or other work on, the process will be different, right? If it's a working committee, how does that process look like?
Bob and I are going to look at this particular one. In fact, we talked about it this morning. And again, that's a good question. How should you be reviewing policies? I went to the III conference, and I went to the policy committee. Not the policy committee, but their presentation on policies. They suggest that the board, do around, sort of on a rotating basis, looking at policies over a 2-year period under certain categories. In other words, you look at education related. And I think we'll try to figure out how we can do this better going forward. But again, there are minutes of our meetings in the board packet. So it's clear, and there's also the policy. So it's clear in there what we're asking you to vote on. And there's also a list of pending ones that I'm already listing for further review. I'd like, again, to look at purchases and contracts. That's on our list. There's about 6 policies that are on there for more customized work, but what we're trying to do is catch up.
I'm all for that catching up process.
Well, that because you have,
What we were doing before was very slow and
yeah, what we're
arduous.
doing is taking, most of, the reason we get changes in these policies to begin with is there's been some legislative action. So we're just going to take the legislative action and do them quickly, and then start looking at various policies that need more customized work. And again, there's a list in the minutes.
When you mean customize, are you talking about discussing it as a board customize? I don't know what that means.
Well, we haven't worked out a process at it, but yeah, you would like something different than the standard hiring process. So we're going to start, and you've already done some work on that?
We did that, it was Michael, Brian, and myself, Brian, and I think Zach was on the committee, and we drafted a policy. And right before David resigned in his last policy committee, we discussed it. I think it had been under review by both firms. So that it was pretty much done and ready to go where it was at, and Juanita probably can bring up to speed. I probably have it still. It's just been
We have it.
some time since it's been addressed.
Yeah, the problem is if we wanted to take this legal change, we'd have to go in and then re-customize.
I think it's done. So is
But not with the latest one that just came in August.
Well, that's something, if it needs to be resubmitted to the firm, that's fine to make whatever change it was, and I don't remember what it was a nominal, probably addition to this, that we could change it. But just also for the future, let you know that our current policy says that the policy committee is a standing board committee, and technically we're not in compliance with that. So that possibly the firm may have to look at what we need to do to modify our policy to make sure we're doing everything we're supposed to be doing.
I thought that I did run that by the attorney, but I'll check.
Okay, I just looked at it. It's mentioned as a standing committee of the board right now.
All right, we listed the policies, the committees in there?
Just that we've modified so that if
I'll
we're
make
going
a
to do it
note.
differently and that we all have an understanding of how that works, I think that's source of our confusion.
I understand, and I am in support of the trying to move faster on some of these more
Oh, yeah,
just basic
absolutely.
things. Yeah, so let's just, figure out how to tee up those more in-depth discussions and,
Yeah.
get everybody together.
And we're within a month of doing that. Well, actually, not just a month, weeks. We're going to move through 87, and after that, we'll...
But to Rachel's original point, which is this policy that we're proposing for a first reading of a minor change that's being driven by ISB, we will have to take that into account when we go back to the fully customized one that is already underway. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
probably a minor thing, but just so we don't lose any
No, and
progress,
no, we won't. I mean, it's on the list that I know we have a customized version of it, but we chose not to work with the customized version at this time. But it is on the list of things we will customize. Or, we'll go back at and there's also, part of the reason we're doing that is the way we're a subscriber to Press Plus. They actually do a lot of the updating of our policy manual for us, and if we fall behind, and I think that actually happened on the bullying policy, and actually even purchases and contracts, we didn't get our customized version in there fast enough, so then something else came up on top of it, and so we actually had to do the integration, which they would normally do for us. So they will actually take the absolute current version and then integrate our changes with it.
If we fall behind to a certain degree, then we lose the value of them doing this merging work for us.
Correct.
And we do it ourselves, or our attorneys do it, or whoever.
And we're paying for it.
Yep.
So that's sort of, the goal is let's get current
Yep.
and let's get current. And I think we're almost there. And then we can discuss how we do other things, or if we want to change. But it just seemed at the time this was the way to go. All right.
So we had a motion.
Yes, thank
We
you.
need to vote on it, unless
Yeah.
there's more discussion.
All righty. Again, I'm going to ask for a motion that the Board of Education approve the above-mentioned board policies for a first read from ISB Press 86 as presented. And by above mentioned, I mean all the ones that I read.
Did you get them?
Which there are 11 on the motion.
Art and Rachel.
Motion,
And before,
second.
one more thing to note before we call the vote is that the purchases and contracts, I looked at that one too, there was supposed to be an attachment reference, it's not attached to the policy listed as well.
What do you mean, a procedure?
Yes, the procedure, it references a procedure in there, it's not attached to the policy.
Is that changing though?
No.
Mm-mm.
And actually, is the policy changing?
There was a footnote.
Footnote. So I think if we already have the attachment's in the policy now, right?
Correct.
We adopted it.
Correct.
So I think we're fine. Right? I mean,
Okay. Yeah, we are.
all right, so we're not changing the procedure, just the policy to add a footnote.
Right. I just, it's a question of formality of whether we have a problem if it's not actually attached to the policy
Okay.
that we vote on. I don't know.
I don't know either, but I'm comfortable with it.
Okay.
All right, Rhonda, we want to call the vote.
Okay. Rachel Morello,
Aye.
Randy Brockway,
Aye.
Juliet Boyd,
Aye.
Arthur Perry.
Aye.
Rich Regan,
Aye.
Mary Rose Mangia.
Aye.
Motion is passed.
All right, next. Just a minute. The final policies, advancing to first read, ISB Press 86 policies recommended for 5-year review. I'm going to read the policies now. Policy 2:40, board member qualifications. Policy 2:50, board member term of office. Policy 2:60, board member removal from office. Policy 2:80, board member oath and conduct. Policy 2:240, board policy development. Policy 4:40, incurring debt. Policy 4:55, use of credit and procurement cards. Policy 4:90, activity funds. Policy 5:310, compensatory time off. Policy 7:170, damage to school property. Policy 7:200, suspension procedures. And again, I'm asking for a motion that the Board of Education approve the policies that I just read, board policies for a first reading from Illinois Association of School Board Press, issue 86, recommended for 5-year review.
So moved.
Second.
Rachel Morello,
Aye.
Arthur Perry.
Aye.
Juliet Boyd.
Aye.
Randy Brockway.
Aye.
Rich Regan,
Aye.
Mary Rose Mangia.
Aye.
Motion is passed.
All right, we're now onto the new business portion of our agenda, and a few meetings ago, we formed a committee consisting of myself and Michael O'Brien to search for a new auditor, and I was wondering, what do we have to do to have a request for proposal of qualifications?
I have a request for proposal document ready. We need to schedule a meeting, go through it, and I would welcome any board member who has a particular auditing firm in mind. By default, we would be requesting proposals from auditors that show the greatest frequency of service for the most school districts of similar size and type. And that process will be underway in the very near future. I think we're ready to move forward.
Okay.
But we need to schedule the meetings and then firm up dates for when the RFPs go out, to what auditing firm, and a schedule of interview dates so that the auditing firms know when they need to show up and
give it their best shot at being the chosen auditing firm.
Okay. All right, so I know that you have a meeting with Mike on Monday at 11, and I thought I was going to maybe join that meeting. And would that be maybe a time for us to work out scheduling, since he and I are both on the committee? And
we'll be ready for you to, I can get an RFP draft.
Is Monday too soon?
Within the next 2 or 3 days, so that you can look at it over the weekend or later on this week.
Okay. And then discuss it on Monday and see what we have to do to move forward. Right. Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions on that process? Next, new business discussion items. Just bringing up again the Hauser schedule for 2015-2016, the school year, the draft. This was something that Steve presented at the Education Committee meeting, and Bhavna felt that the board needed to give direction for the administration to continue work on it and to move forward on that. First of all, let me just ask a question. Is the schedule that was proposed that we have a copy of in board book, is that a final?
No, it is strictly in draft form, and it was just one version of what he has come up with the committee. And in order for the committee to kind of continue to do their work, we wanted to make sure that we had board support to possibly change the start time for next year and also increase the math minutes to 80 minutes to account for the new higher standards for Common Core in math, and also looking at modifying the lunch schedule for better supervision and safety of students. So those are the three big things that he mentioned a few weeks ago at the Ed Committee, and in order for them to continue to work on this, we want to just make sure that we had board support to do that, and then they'll come back with a final version. We're hoping by spring break, and if not, it'll be shortly after. So is
a question. The physical education requirement by the state of Illinois, do we meet that with this with our schedule?
Yes. With Hauser?
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's 30 minutes a day.
We have 42.
We have 42 minutes a day, 5 days a week.
Correct.
Okay.
So looking at this schedule, there's a figure 2 with the proposed daily bell schedule. The proposal is to combine, I just want to make sure I understand it, to combine 4 of the periods into 2. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, Rachel, can you ask me that again?
Figure 2.0 on the proposed daily bell schedule. Would you guys propose, you're going to combine 4 periods into 2, consolidate?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. I just wanted to make sure I was looking at the right figure. And again, this is totally in draft form, but we needed to have those three components in place in order to continue work on it. So if we have the board support, then I can give Mr. Jaraka the approval to continue moving forward to work with his committee. And then, this could impact some staffing issues. So we wanted to talk to you, wanted to get this out sooner rather than later.
I just want to go over the 3 components again. It was the start time, the 80 minutes for math, and what was the third one?
And then modifying the lunch program so that it's addresses the overcrowding and the safety in students, for students, excuse me.
Okay. Art, did you have a question?
Yeah, I support reorganizing the schedule. I think it's important to get those minutes in for the core classes. I think we can be creative and look at different alternatives for Encore. I would simply ask, I fully support going forward and having the committee look at this. I just implore them to not be in a vacuum when they're looking at these things. There are a lot of issues to consider. An 8:05 start time will bring challenges outside of school to students coming from different areas of the district, just based on, RB schedule, so on and so forth.
Gee,
So-
the Metro train schedule too.
Yeah, there is. I mean, that's a small group, but it is something that it is impacting. So I just like them to make sure they consider those and not just think, only within Hauser, like this is a totally isolated thing. Because I think it does have a lot of knock-on effects. Central with, the other schools as well.
I agree with Art, I support that. I guess those are good, valid points to make as far as we should consider all those things we're not thinking of.
Yeah, so
May not
many.
be thinking of.
And the start time and the schedule is based on what length of day at this point? 7?
No.
What is
It's
it?
300 instructional minutes, 20 minutes for advisory, 25 minutes for lunch, so a total of 405 minutes.
And that's consistent with the current collective bargaining agreement? Okay. All right. Is there any, I support giving direction to the administration to continue to proceed along the items we've just discussed. Do I have a consensus for that?
Oh, yeah.
You do.
All right.
Yes.
Then, okay.
Thank you. Okay, I will let Mr. Jaraka and his team know, and they'll continue working, and then we should hope to have something sooner rather than later for you for review and approval.
All right, thank you. With that, I just want to announce our future meeting dates.
Mary Rose?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Under new business, I just wanted, it seems timely here that we maybe have a little discussion about the Hollywood School and the RB plans next to it, since it's a meeting coming up on, what, Thursday? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We are the most prominent neighbor to RB at this, as Hollywood School. And I'm just wanting to get a sense that we're comfortable with the plan that was made public about 3 weeks ago. It was in the newspaper. Art, can you?
Yeah, I don't know that plan is, how current it is. I think it's a changing, shifting situation.
Well, the landmark represented it to be, the state of
Okay.
the current proposal.
Okay.
I think it was maybe missing some of the sidewalk and some of the fine details that are in the architectural plans, but nevertheless, they were supposed to be representative.
Okay. I don't want to get into discussing the accuracy or whatever of the landmark. They do a great job, but I think all I'm saying is I didn't mean that to sound quite as snide. But I think at the meeting on Thursday, the official plan will be discussed and made public. I don't know that the village of Brookfield I don't know if it's been, the actual, what came from the RB District 208 has been publicized yet. Maybe it has, I'm not aware of it. So that's what I'm looking for. I'll be at that meeting personally to hear what the proposal is.
And I suppose the village could make some modifications.
Right. Actually, again, I don't want to get into the legal or process of it, but I believe this is a Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, and then from there, whatever they recommend still goes to the Brookfield Village Board for further decisioning and discussion, so.
So, will we have an opportunity to discuss the plan in detail as we go forward?
Well, I don't know exactly how we want to approach this. I think right now I'm looking for information. The district's been in contact with Dr. Skinkus in District 208, correct? So we have...
Mr. Preble will be attending the weekly construction meetings, and I know he's reached out to, you know, Mrs. Gersh and Mrs. Didio and had an overview with the PTAs. So they've been good neighbors.
Okay, so yeah, best we can do, I think, is try to keep up with it, and if we do have a concern, voice that through those channels. And any other ideas that you have, I think would be welcome.
Well, the plan itself, you know, the construction schedule and all of that, the demolition, I understand. I guess I want to pose to the board, here's an opportunity, this is our time to weigh in.
Yeah.
Are we comfortable with the plan? Are we all familiar with the plan? That's, and the plan was in the newspaper 3 weeks ago. And for all intents and purposes, it is the final plan, is being presented on Thursday. And so if there is a time to comment, you know, now is the opportunity. And so I just raise that as the point, my point.
Okay, yeah, I agree. I have concerns about the plan, about the proximity to Hollywood School building, and some of the, I'm just looking at the proposal, I mean, the notice on the RV website is, the official notice is pretty terse. It just goes through some high-level information, so we have an opportunity Tuesday night or Thursday night to address it to the board of the Brookfield Village Board, and you know, as far as the planning process for that project, I think that's a good opportunity if you have time to do that. Otherwise, we'd go through the channels of the administration.
Well, as a board, are you going as attending as a board member, and will you be speaking for the board?
Well, I'll just say that I plan to go there, and I will speak. I will not presume to speak for this entire board unless we can come up with a consensus on what I'm saying. And I don't know if we can do that tonight. And I'm fine with that at this point.
Randy, going forward, what would you like us to do as a board? None of us can go there as an individual and speak on behalf of the board unless this board develops some sort of a consensus. And I don't know to what degree anybody is fully familiar with.
Well, when are we going to get fully familiar with the plan?
Do you have a suggestion on how we do that?
Well, I would suggest that we have a presentation here at a board meeting, so we can actually see the plan, and the concerns that you're alluding to, I think I share some of the same concerns.
Mm-hmm.
And we've certainly heard concerns from constituents over the course of the last several months.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how the board should act, but I think as a prominent neighbor, and we are the most prominent, you know, we share the north and the whole eastern boundary with RB, District 208. And it's quite close to us, of course. I mean, it's quite close to the building on the north side and quite close to the parking lot and the playground on the east side.
Mm-hmm.
It would seem to me that we, as a board, should review it in detail, be knowledgeable of what's going on, and support it in full, or support it with a recommendation, or not support it.
Can I make a proposal then? I mean, the time is, I agree that we have an opportunity. Thursday night is one step in the process, but it's not the final step for sure, I think. And I think there'll be, I feel like I will have a better sense of what the proposal is at that point. So what I would propose is I can talk to Mr. O'Brien about potentially putting an agenda item on the Finance Committee meeting, which is
February 3rd.
February 3rd. And just briefly review the plan and then see what the concerns are and try to come up with a plan to address those to District 208. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
I think for now, I just don't feel like all of us has enough information to.
No, we
come
don't.
up with some kind of-
We've not really seen a plan
Yeah.
together and had a discussion about it. We've just, we've seen graphics in the newspaper, and we've had our administrative team attend meetings, but, yeah, I think what you're proposing is right on.
Okay, so I'll talk to Michael and see if it works with him, and we'll tee that up. And any resources we can get, if somebody from the RB can come, which probably doesn't seem likely.
I think that would be
Well, if
ideal.
you have specific
yeah.
concerns or you have anything during that would be helpful to hear as well. Because, I mean, it seems like you're the most informed person because you're in the midst of this.
Yeah, and everything that I've learned is being shared through the link I provided on the Hollywood website. So if you go to Hollywood School and you go under RB Construction link, as far as I'm updated, that's as updated as I am. Obviously, my role in this is to be an advocate for my building and the safety of the students at Hollywood. There's really two angles at this thing. One is the impact on Hollywood itself, and the other is the impact on the community. I'm the advocate for the impact on Hollywood. In the meetings that we've had, the plans that are in place, what you saw in the newspaper is very close, although those aren't the architect's drawings. Those are other drawings as indicated in the article. On the link that I've provided, I've linked to that article so you have that as a reference, but I've also linked to the RB page. Anything that they publish, you'll be able to find right there. So until I'm updated again, that's as good as my information. As we met with the Hollywood PTA presidents and Dr. Skinkas a couple weeks ago, went over what they're planning, and it's really in 3 phases. We don't look at it as a whole entire thing. Phase 1 being the demolition of the stadium. That's my biggest concern right now. But that has been passed at their board meeting last Tuesday night. The temporary fencing for the safety perimeter went up yesterday. So we are already in process of, altering our physical campus for that. Parking has been moved. We have spots reserved on Rockefeller, for example, 10 spaces for the cars that were displaced with the temporary fencing. That's been up. They did not start doing anything to the building yet today. As far as I know, there was no equipment out there, but it's my understanding that now that that's passed, that can happen at any time.
Kurt, how often, what's the form of your meeting with them? Do you meet at their premises periodically about every time they're going to start a new phase?
There hasn't been a structure to the meetings yet. We've met twice. The first time I was with Dr. Sharma Lewis. The second time I was with the Hollywood PTA. We've met in the conference room, Dr. Skinkis' office. There is a timeline that I posted on the website that shows you where everything is supposed to take place. And it's actually, I posted it after the last meeting when I was actually given a physical timeline, and some of those things have already taken place. So it's not exactly like from last week going forward, it was from a month ago going forward. So you'll be able to see some things from there. Once the project actually starts, they will be having weekly construction meetings. From there, I will be updated every week. One thing that we have talked about is originally, was I going to be there at the actual construction meeting? We think it might be more of a beneficial use of time to be there afterwards to get the update. I mean, because they're gonna be discussing types of, fixtures. I don't need to be there for that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, so I will be updated on what's going to happen so that I can provide the Hollywood community and the district with what's gonna happen throughout the next week, maybe even in the 2 weeks going forward. And then each week will be a new update. And that'll also be posted on that link.
One of the things that Dr. Skinkis also mentioned at our meeting is anything that goes out to the RB community, he will also be sending to Mr. Preble so he can post on, so it'd be the same communication.
So, Mr. Preble, on the demolition, you say the boundary fence is up, and I'm sorry, I haven't looked at your website or seen the fence. How is that going to impact our daily activities there?
Actually,
Playground, parking, and so on and so forth?
It's quite minimal, and to be honest, knowing that the project is going forward, okay, resigning to that, how they're going about it was actually quite impressive with how they, how RB as a whole has, planned this process out. The temporary fence, the biggest impact it has, it comes from, if you can imagine, the east end of the building. There is a piece of fencing that comes off the southeast corner on about a 45-degree angle to the RB fence line. So it's probably 20, 30-foot fence. And where the kids play kickball and everything on the playground, actually the fence comes like 3 or 4 feet behind where home plate would be. Which, if you think of it in square footage, it's probably only taking maybe 40 to 50 square feet away from the actual playground. Now, I'm advising the students and the playground supervisors to not let the kids go too close to the fence, but understand that the fence is a distance away from the stadium. It's probably from me to the screen. So they're not right up against the construction site. The equipment's going to come in track side. There's that gate over by the track. That's where the equipment's going to come in. There's another piece of perimeter fencing separating that section from the track. So everything's going to be contained on the RB side. Nothing's going to be on what I would call the Hollywood campus. The only thing that's there right now is the perimeter fencing.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Yes.
The school district has engaged an architect, just brainstorming an option. We may not know the questions that we should be asking. For example, I did read that they're planning to do underground stormwater detention. I don't know what flavor or the characteristics or the civil engineering that might be behind that. If we just asked our own architect to maybe just look at a plan design overview and then advise what questions should we be asking.
I think that's a great idea.
I think it's a great idea.
Tee that up.
Now that we have an architect firm, we have that option.
Would you be, when do you propose talking to them about that overview?
Well, I think their question is going to be what materials can we get a hold of, and that I think maybe I could ask Dr. Sharma Lewis to contact Dr. Skinkis and find out.
Get the copy of the plan.
Express our interest in having our own architect look at what's the, we don't need to look at plans and specifications that are going out that are being developed to go out for bid. I think we're looking at
impacts,
broad brush plan design.
Those are available, aren't they, pretty much?
Well, that's the question I have. I mean, the landmark has some materials, but I think, the village also has to have things for the plan commission. So I'm going to ask around and see how we can get a hold of that.
I think it would be a good idea for us to ask our own architect what kind of underground storage detention, stormwater detention are they going to do, and should we be worried about it in any way, shape, or form?
Okay.
Just even that one question might be worthwhile. But I imagine there would be other questions about the overall plan that our own architect would be representing our interests and advising what questions we might consider asking.
Can the board have consensus now to allow David to go through, reach out to them initially, and then we'll gather any information we can on this
I'll
project.
work through Dr. Sharma Lewis and we'll move forward.
Again, do we have consensus on the board to provide Dr. Sharma Lewis and David Sellers, give them direction to have our architect do review an overview of the RV plans?
I think so,
Yes,
yes.
you do.
Okay.
Yes.
You should be able to get a set of plans from Dr. Skinkus, too. It's just a
Yeah.
good neighbor policy. He should hand those over.
Yeah.
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 And these plans are as simple as a click on the computer now. It's all digital. So, I mean, it can be, it's not running prints anymore and having them delivered. It can be just that fast.
And I'm sure they'll be able to, our architect will be able to say what would be worthwhile to look at.
Yes.
We're not talking about a detailed review, but like you said, David, just an overview-ish thing.
We don't want to spend a lot of
Yeah.
architect fees on this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
We want them to give us some, basic direction
Yeah.
on what questions we should be asking. We don't want them to hire a civil engineer
No.
to go deeper.
No.
Just, what questions should we be asking? And if they do find a red flag, then come back to this board and say, maybe you should be aware of this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank
Great
you.
suggestion. Thank you.
Okay. Now I'd like to just read off our future meeting dates. February 3rd, Finance Committee at 7 p.m. here at Hauser Junior High. February 17th, another regular business meeting here at 6:30 in the Learning Resource Center here. March 3rd, the Next Education Committee meeting at 7 p.m. And St. Patrick's Day, we'll see you here at 6:30 for another regular business meeting. So anyway, I still have a couple of items that I'd like to kind of update the board in closed session that we weren't able to get through to earlier. So again, I'm going to ask for a motion to enter into closed session for the purpose of discussing the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee to determine its validity. To discuss collective negotiating matters between the school board and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees, or discussion of minutes of meetings. We've already done that, so just those items 1 and 2. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. No, can I just clarify, we don't anticipate any action taken after this session?
No,
Okay.
we moved everything up.
Okay,
There are just some updated items, that's all.
all right, great.
Rachel Morella.
Aye.
Randy Brockway.
Aye.
Juliet Boyd.
Aye.
Arthur Perry.
Aye.
Ridge Regan.
Aye.
Mary Rose Mandia.
Aye.
Motion is passed.
I guess I'll go.